Deryck teaches Alteryx, Lesson 2. Welcome back. Let's continue on with Lesson 2 here. If you remember last time, we imported some data that represents visiting a website, making purchases on that website. We're going to start this lesson at the point in which we've imported the data and we've made sure that the data is imported according to the types and settings that we want. Last time we added a filter and we did a calculation, so we're going to do that again very quickly just to review. We want to filter out all the data that doesn't represent people who visited the website and made purchases, and we want to calculate the total spend. So in this lesson we're going to add the filter first. And we're going to filter on product purchases that doesn't equal NA. Hit the run, and then if you notice when the true is selected, it only represents the data in which purchases are made. Products A to G are purchased according to a unit purchase, unit quantity, and price. We add a formula to the true side, select and add a new column, call that column spend, S-P-E-N-D, then add quantity, and then multiply it by unit price. If you hit the run again, you'll notice that on the output there is a new column called spend. And you notice that in the formula, the configuration box, the spend column is in fact a string. So if I want to calculate or summate that spend, again, it'll be a lot more difficult if it's set to a string. So I'm going to make sure that it is a double. If you notice that the dates in my raw data, in the data that's calculated this part, they range from February 1st to February 18th. February 18th should be the largest here. Here's the 17th, 16th. What if I want to filter on a specific date range? I want to know the total spend by product purchases A to G for the first 2 weeks in February, the 1st to the 14th. So what I can do is I can filter again. And this time, instead of using a basic filter, I'm going to use a custom filter. And I'm going to filter according to visit date less than February 15th, 2018. So if I run this, you notice on the true side, the visit dates only include from the 1st to the 14th. And if I go to the false side, these are all the purchases that happen after the 14th. The next step I want to do is I want to group and summate the data by product purchased and sum all of the spends according to what products are purchased. I can do that with a tool called Summarize. So I'm going to attach Summarize here, select product purchase, and group by. Then select spend and add it to the tool by sum, and then run. I now have a nice chart. So for the first 2 weeks of February, visitors have come to my website and purchased products A to G, and the most revenue I've made on any of these products is product G. This is a very useful chart. I could expand this for a month or for a quarter in order to find out what my most profitable or the highest cash flow I have by product. It would be nice if this was in a chart. So what I could do is I could go to the reporting tools and import chart. One thing I've noticed out of practicing using Alteryx is that if I use the chart immediately after a number of other tools, I sometimes get an error because the data types can either change on me or they're not compatible with the tools I have. So it's always a good habit to use select in between certain tools in order to make sure that the right data types are being used and I'm not importing or moving around strange columns, strange data fields that I don't want. So here's this odd data field called unknown. I'm going to unselect it. And I'm just going to double check my data types. Here they are. The product purchase are letters from A to G, so it is a string, and then in sum of spend is a double, it's a number. Let's now go to reporting and import the chart that we want to use. So I'm getting an error here because, again, I'm probably using it's using a data type that isn't useful. So we can try and use double forced and then run it again. Make sure the data is what we want and then try the chart again. So I've avoided the error by making selections in my select tool and forcing some of the data types that might not be compatible. I'm going to select columns. So I want to graph by column, and the data that I want to use is sum of spend, and then the data fields, I want them labeled by the product purchased. If I hit run, it's running on me. This is taking us a little while here. Sometimes you have too many objects. It can slow down. It can slow down my computer. It looks like I have an error. So I'm just going to make sure that my outputs are still good. It looks like it didn't finish running. So I'm going to delete this and run it again. My outputs are still good. I'm going to try and go back to, I'm just going to go to a float this time and try and running it. It's still good. Import my chart again. So it looks like the chart, the chart tool works better with floats. Select column. And then the data series I want is sum of spend, product purchased, hit my run, and I don't have any errors. One little tricky thing about Alteryx is you notice that I don't have a bar graph that represents the data that I imported, no matter what I click. And so what is required here is some sort of view or output tool in order to view the chart. Because even though we've imported, we're using, and we've clamped on at the end of our workflow a charting tool, we still don't have the output. The secret to that is the browse. So the browse, no matter what your output is, what is in your flowchart, the browse will ultimately create the output that you want. So I've attached the browse tool to the end of my workflow. I'm going to hit run. And the browse tool has created the chart according to the selections I made in the rest of my workflow. Here's a nice beautiful chart. Shows me 2 weeks of users making purchases on the website. If I want, I can create a new window in order to get a better view of the chart. And I can see that product C has given me the largest amount of cash flow in the 2 weeks between February 1st and February 14th.